You're gonna find me on the trail.
Hey there! Welcome down the trail once again. Thanks for joining me. This one's called Under a Tree. Now, what happened is I went out up to the wilderness with some friends one afternoon, and we just went for an afternoon trip. Everybody was going to leave at dark, and that's not exactly how it went down. A couple of my buddies said we want to stay the night, and so being one who is prepared, at least I think I am, I just say, hey, I'll stay too. And we decided to spend the night. And it was an interesting endeavor because things don't always go as they plan. And I learned a lot on this one. So this one's called Under a Tree. So here we are. We found ourselves a nice little spot we like to go to. And we mostly were just chilling and shooting the guns and stuff. And it was a beautiful afternoon. We were all in shorts. It wasn't that cold, but my buddy there decided to try out his new tent. And it was a big tent. But that kind of, to me, was real sporting. And I thought, okay, well, you know what? I never go out to the wilderness without being at least somewhat prepared. And I thought, well, I'm going to stay too. And so they put up their tent. And I found myself a little spot under a tree right next door to them. And made myself a little camp. And as you can see there, I have a couple blankets, those poncho style blankets, and a jacket, and that's all I had. And I thought it would be kind of neat to see if I had enough gear and know-how to get through an evening with just those items. And as you can see, I'm only wearing shorts and this jacket, so it wasn't that cold at this point. And it was neat. I found a couple 2x4s to lean against, and I made one of my igloo style fires. My thinking on these is they're high walled, they're very small, and I can put a rock covering and almost make like a stove out of it. And what that does is it allows me to use less wood, firewood, and they get real hot, and it doesn't require a tremendous amount, and the rocks get real hot. So there I was under my tree, and what I did is all I had was my jacket and a t-shirt, and I had 2 poncho blankets. And what I found, I was under the tree, and the tree had covering over it. And it was pretty good cover, and I found it pretty satisfying. And I did manage to doze off a little bit, and until that wind hit. I would say about midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning, that wind kicked up. And up in the high desert, when that wind kicks up, it howls. And that's when, I got a little bit concerned because I started to get really cold. And I was in a hypothermic situation for sure. Now, granted, I had my friends with me, and one of the guys went and got in the car and was sleeping in the car and would turn the heater on. And I thought, well, that's smart. The other guy was in his tent. And I wanted to see how much I could endure and maybe learn a little something. So what I found is when that wind hit though, it cut right through the fabric and everything. And so I found, you kind of get in the fetal position and you don't move. And if you stay perfectly still, you can actually conserve a little heat. Plus the fire. Now the fire had gone out, but I was feeding it a little bit. And but the radiant heat was life-saving, and that's that small stove, like that stove-style campfire. I could get really close to it. I was using heating rocks, and then bringing them in close, and it worked. It worked like a charm until dawn. Now dawn, as soon as the wind blew all night, and right at dawn, I saw the dark clouds. And in a matter of 20 minutes, a half hour, it was raining.
So I pulled out one of those emergency rain ponchos, and I used it, and I got myself covered, and I hunkered down again, and the wind was blowing and it was raining, but I found that I was pretty comfortable actually with the radiant heat from that fire. And then it started to snow. Got snow hit just like that, and we got dumped on. And again, I just kept in the same position. My hands were pretty warm, and my feet were pretty frozen actually, but you know, I was testing myself. And what happened was, my friend in the tent, he's one of those heavy sleepers, and he slept right through the snow, didn't realize it was there, but he hadn't put the rain fly on his tent, and it snowed in there. And I didn't actually see him, but he was covered in snow, and so was I. I was completely covered in snow. I don't think you could have even seen me under that tree. You just think you saw a little snowbank right there. But anyway, we woke him up, and just check out what happened to the tent.
Yeah, the wind just annihilated. Brand new tent, big tent, nice tent, but just creamed it. This was what I was dealing with at my campsite, and we were both covered. And like we used to say, that was pretty gnarly. It got really cold out, and we decided to just bug out of there and get while the getting was good. One last little shot of my campsite.
Now, the coldest I got on that trip was when we got up to break camp. That's when, I got out of my comfort zone and was out exposed. And what I wanted to do is, I wanted to stay actually and see, because the sun finally came out, or started to break a little bit, and I wanted to continue my my experiment, because I wanted to get the fire going again. And with that snow out, I wanted to see if it was possible to find dry enough wood to get that fire going, go stand out in the sun and slowly start warming up, and then maybe mess around with the camp a little bit and get ready for the daytime. And I probably could have just stayed there. But, the guy's tent was completely ruined. We bugged out of there. And that's when I got cold. And, I tell you, man, it was an interesting evening.
So basically, we went from this, nice, semi-warm weather, all wearing shorts, to this the next morning. And I got to say, despite it all, it was just a beautiful, beautiful morning. It just kind of goes to show you how you just never know what Mother Nature's going to throw at you. And it was kind of an interesting factor because I was prepared. And I made it through the night. I feel like I probably could have stayed a little longer, and it was absolutely an unforgettable experience.
Well, so that was my under the tree experience. I really don't recommend anybody try this unless you're into the self-reliance thing, if you're into testing yourself. I did have a safety factor. I had friends with me. There was a car there. There was, at any time, felt like I got hypothermic, I could have just whapped on the window and crawled inside and been fine. And what that did is it eliminated, like the anxiety factor. If I'd been there alone and you mix anxiety with the elements, that could be a dangerous situation. So luckily, the anxiety wasn't there, and I just kind of had a good time testing my skills a little bit. And it was a fun evening. And thanks for joining me on this episode of On the Trail. I appreciate it, and I'll see you next time on the trail. Till then, I'm Jeff Reylee. Peace out.
On the trail.